that's a pretty wide-ranging question. I guess my career path started actually in undergraduate school, where I became involved with the new central computing facility that the university installed in 1964, and I became a computer programmer as part of my undergraduate and graduate studies. And then I started working for the university computing facilities and was particularly in charge of the support for the user community and providing documentation to them as to how to use this computer. In 1972, then I went down to the medical school to try and help the developing research that was needing statistical and computing support, and I have been at the medical school since then. You talked about the SAS Global Users Group. Just a bit of history there. In 1995, there was a gathering of what was labeled a Midwest SAS Users Conference at Abbott Laboratory, and that drew about 125 people, maybe something like that, mostly from around the Midwest, and Jim Goodnight and John Saul and others from SAS Institute attended. And everybody thought that was just a grand idea. And so we decided to initiate a national conference, which was then held in the beginning of 1976. Down in the Orlando area. And there were, I don't know, maybe 225, 250 people who attended that. And that, again, seemed good. We produced a proceedings that was able to be distributed to other users. And there's been an annual conference each year since then. It was for many years called SUGI, the SAS Users Group International. Several years ago, we rebranded it as SAS Global Forum. In terms of publications, I have several hundred academic publications, mostly having to do with medical research topics, a few having to do with SAS products. Through the years, we've done a lot of different other analytic techniques. In the early days, SAS distributed to its user sites the actual source code. And so it was very easy to be able to write additions to SAS and really understand the guts of it. That no longer, of course, is true. The world has changed, but we had a lot of fun along the way. You know, I think the first thing, of course, is that you have to learn the basics. And I'm always surprised at the number of people who have taken a course in SAS in a university or something like that, and have gotten to know only a very narrow aspect of SAS. And so SAS really has many, many different components. I don't know of anybody who is a master of all of them, but I think you first have to learn the SAS programming language. And then secondly, you need to be able to keep learning. The world changes. I started out doing SAS with punched cards, and I don't think anybody has seen a punched card in years now. We now have integrated editors and interactively programmed SAS, and it runs on our desktop as well as on servers. So you need to keep expanding your knowledge of what's going on. And third, I think, while having this kind of broad perspective, you probably need to try and become particularly proficient in a particular component of it, whether that's as a macro maven, or whether it is to really understand all about how to do complex statistical models with Prof next, or a number of other specialties that people could do. So I think those three things are probably the tips I would give. Well, I think that these days Prof Mixed would be my favorite because it's a very flexible procedure for fitting statistical models that have both fixed and random effects. And that is quite applicable for many of the studies which we do in medical research. And so I think that's the one that I would say is my favorite right now. A number of years ago, we thought that there was a possibility to engage SAS users in sharing information. And so we created SAScommunity.org, which is a wiki-based website that allows users to share information. It's been particularly useful for authors of papers at the various SAS users group meetings, that they can put not only their paper but also code and other kinds of things up on there, and then keep it up to date. So a paper that may have been presented several years ago may need to be updated with what the current options and performance of a particular SAS topic is. I was just going to say that subsequently SAS Institute itself has developed a community website that has a high volume, particularly in a question and answer format, that is well supported and quite useful. Thank you very much.